Vincent Browne. You heard a Fine Gael spokesperson, you heard a Fianna Fáil spokesperson. Do you believe the political will now exists? You interjected about that. If they were on your programme tonight, would you be asking them, have they the political will to implement it?
Oh, the political will is there, all right, so long as they...
What makes you think it is?
There is absolute political will here to further, to make the lives of people who are already poor even poorer. There is a political will to do that. There is no political will to take on the people who are rich, who have the resources, if distributed, to get us out of this crisis. The people who made fortunes during the boom years, there's no will to say to them, you made the fortunes during the boom years, now let you pay for the crisis.
Vincent, you're living in a fantasy land. All these guys are facing, like every day of the week we read in the newspaper that the bank are taking judgment. These guys will be out in their houses.
How many?
These guys...
How many?
Every day.
Name them.
Paddy Kelly for one.
Yeah, one. Yeah, for one. Yeah.
Carol for two.
Right, two.
Come on, help me out here.
No, I won't help you because you're talking rubbish.
I'm not talking rubbish.
Richard Bruton was right. You're ridiculous. There's a few of them have been caught. A few of them have been caught. Yeah, you're dead right. No,
where's the 20 billion coming from? I'll give you a carte blanche. You just tell me where you're going to get. You think you're going to get the 20 billion?
Right, I'll answer your question. If you'll shut up.
Yeah. Go on. Where?
People earning over 80,000 pay on average only 27% of their income in tax. In my view,
that figure is so out of date. It's not true.
Oh, really?
Do you know?
Wait. Well, how do you know?
Because I pay it.
Well, just a minute.
Because I pay it at the marginal rate. We're not
I didn't talk about the marginal rate.
No, but
I am just simply saying that the people who earn over 80,000 on average pay only 27% of their income on tax.
Right.
They pay in 2008. Yeah. They paid in total almost 30 billion.
Yeah.
Now, if you increased their tax rate to say 40%, you would get about 3.5 billion extra. Now, that answers your question, how else to do it? And that would be 3.5 billion next year, the year after.
Yeah.
That is...
You're only 16.5 billion shy, but
yes,
go on.
But these people are only 5.3 billion. But in addition, it would be possible to cut public sector pay. Everybody earning over 80,000... Well, everybody earning over 120,000 should come back to 120,000, including all ministers, by the way, and they get rid of all their perks. And then you could have further cuts in pay of people earning over 80,000 in the public service. That would save another billion or so. So that is the way to do it, not cutting the social welfare payments of the people who are poorest.
But there is an enormous number of people who earn 80,000 or more, but they're not one person. They are invariably, that's how they bought all these houses at ridiculous prices. Emmett Oliver is with me. Well, can you adjudicate in what some listeners are calling this screaming row between Browne and myself?
You have no idea whether they are or not. You have no idea, because you're not getting any text.
I am. It says, Hook, less of the screaming hysteria, let your contributor speak, says Dean Clark.
Yeah, they were giving out about you.
We'll continue this at 11 o'clock tonight on TV3. I'll be there.
Just to be fair to McCarthy for a second, because there's plenty of good stuff in here, right? Why should the state fund prizes for greyhound races? Why should the state maintain railways that nobody uses? Why should the state pay for fee-paying teachers in fee-paying schools? He says, scrap all of those.
Yeah,
it's not all dire stuff in this report.
Do you know something? I know you're a fan of the Curragh and all that sort of stuff, but do you know that in the United Kingdom,
I've never been in the Curragh,
all right,
ever.
The United Kingdom. Let's take the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom has more horses, more race courses, and therefore more races than we have, but we spend twice as much money, we, the taxpayer, on giving prizes for these horses running around with fellas in coloured jackets on top of them. Now, if you want to worry about the old, the sick and the infirm, McCarthy is starting at the horse racing, and I think he's right.
But it's he's talking about 34% of the cuts that he's proposing to make come from social welfare.
Yes.
Maybe less than 1%, a fraction of 1% come from what you're talking about. So as Richard Bruton says, you're talking rubbish. You're not dealing with the substantive points. Substantive points have to do with cuts in health, education, and particularly social welfare.
All right.
72% of the cuts that he's talking about
to be fair,
come from that area.
Child benefit is the biggest single heading in this whole report. Now, why should very wealthy people receive child benefit receipts every month?
Why didn't you say that,
on an
Vincent?
equity basis, how could anyone justify it?
How, yeah, Vincent, justify that.
If you look at the thing, you're wrong about that. If you look at the part of the report that deals with social welfare, you'll see that he's talking about 850 million in a full year coming from cuts in social welfare payments, and the child benefit is less than that. But
why should you and I get child benefit? Why should Tony O'Reilly or anybody else get child benefit? Why doesn't child benefit go to the people who need it?
When did you last?
You're the communist here. You're the only communist here. Why don't you do that?
How do you get child benefit?
Well, I don't. But it was a theoretical question.
What?
It was a theoretical question. If I had children at the appropriate age. And there's lots of fellas my age have young children.
Right, there are difficulties.
Not me, but there are some.
It's not a big deal. But
it is a big deal.
But there are issues here. Firstly, that if you means test child benefit, there are inevitably going to be poverty traps, or people will get caught in the poverty trap area. And a second and an important point about child benefit is the money goes straight to the mothers. And very often, in many families, women don't get money directly themselves very much. So that's a benefit to women, which I think is an important one. But I agree that the argument in favour of taxing it is a good argument, but it wouldn't save that much.
Well, save a few $100 million a year.
All right, but we're talking about 1.2 billion coming from social welfare as a whole.
Yeah, but it's the second highest item that he has on his list.
It is
after the social welfare.
But yes, if you were to tax social welfare benefits, it would probably save 150 million or something like that. But we're talking the round. The big issues are social welfare payments, generally education and health, and together they form 72% of all the cuts. And those
because they form 72% of the spending.
They don't.
No, let me rescue you from your convoluted thinking.
You're wrong about that. You're wrong again.
All right, number one, you start talking about tax and you quote 2008. The tax rates in 2009 are going to be different. Secondly, we still await the report of the Commission in Taxation, which may in fact do precisely what you suggest.
Why do you say? Of course
and tax people.
Of course it won't. Of course it won't.
How do you know?
Well, I'll tell you why. It was utterly predictable that this Bord Snip report would come up with what it's come up with. The reason being, look at the composition of the Bord Snip report. It has as chairman an economist who spent most of his life working for a stock agency, for stockbrokers. It has three people from financial services. One of them is executive vice president of an outfit called State Street Corporation, which according to its website is the world's leading provider of financial services to institutional investors. Okay. It has a former partner of Price Waterhouse Cooper, and a few other people of that age. Well, is it remotely surprising that these people are utterly insensitive to the needs and the concerns of poorer people? No, it isn't. If you look at the taxation, the Commission on Taxation, it too is loaded with people who have been advising rich people on how to avoid tax for years. And what do you expect? Do you think they'll propose that rich people get taxed more? Of course they won't.
But of course they will.
Of course they won't.
But I mean, sure, it makes our pensions are going to be taxed. Lump sums that people get from their jobs that they're looking forward to after 40 years that they expected a lump sum, that's going to be taxed.
How do you know?
But it makes common sense. We have no money. Where do you get it except in taxation? So common sense. What you've lost is the run of yourself. When you start talking about the people who are on this committee, you get a totally different result if you put